Shalom. In the last video, we learned about the technical details about what makes a shofar kasher, what can make it pasul, and how to blow, but we really didn't venture into the deep meaning that there is to garner from these laws. And that's what I want to do with you now. Why is it that you can't alter the sound of the shofar? That you're not allowed to do anything to the shofar that will change its authentic sound. And that includes, of course, straightening it, which entails basically lengthening that which was short, right? Those are the words of the Rambam in the Mishnah Torah in Hilchot Shofar Sukkah Velulav. And so why is that? Well, to my humble understanding, this is really connected with what the shofar even represents and what Rosh HaShanah is all about. Many people fall into this cliche that Rosh HaShanah is the birthday of the world. Actually, no. We are actually celebrating the creation of Adam Harishon, whose creation came after 6 epochs, 6 long days of creation, 6 long periods of time. And what I'm about to explain to you now, by the way, is not just some sort of a modern, rational attempt to synthesize the text with science, but actually, if you read the Guide for the Perplexed and other rabbinical writings, again, we really can come to this understanding. And I can just say there really is not this huge divide between science and Torah as people like to imagine. We're not going to go so deep. Rosh HaShanah is marking the creation of Adam Harishon, and not even necessarily the species. As we know, there was a process of creation involved in the creation of Adam Harishon. But what I can say, to my humble understanding, is a particular verse, okay, that we are commemorating with Rosh HaShanah. And it is Bereshith Bet Zan, Genesis 2, verse 7. And I'm going to tell it to you in Hebrew, and I'm going to translate it. وَيِيْتَرْ أَدْوَنَوْي أَلُهِيم أَتْ أَدَمْ عَفَرْ مِنْهَا أَدَمَا وَيِبَّحْ بَأَبَوْ نِشْمَتْ حَيِيم وَيِهَا أَدَمْ لَنَفَشْ حَيَا. And Hashem formed man, dust from the earth, and he blew into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living soul. Notice, by the way, the beginning of that verse speaks about a process of formation. Vayitzer, Hashem formed the man, right? Afar min ha'adamah can mean homiletic, from the dust of the earth, from eating in the dust, from an animal-like existence. And he blew into his nostrils nishmat hayim. On those words, the breath of life, onkelos translates ruach memamelin, which means a speaking spirit. In other words, the unique hidush, the novelty of this act of creation was giving him the ability to speak, the gift of speech. And archaeologically speaking, this actually marks the birth of writing. This is so exciting. And just like other landmark discoveries in archaeology, this is something that really, really gives life to these verses. Could it be that Adam Harishon was the first to pray to the Holy One, blessed be He, to discover the source of all life, the one creator, king, and redeemer of all, of the universe? That the moment, in a sense, when Hashem's creation came to recognize and acknowledge Him. Not to say that there weren't other more primitive thinking Homo sapiens before, but this was the moment when we achieved something. And anyway, this video is not, I'm going to say we don't have time to get into the incredible world of Adam Harishon, the first man, but let's get back to Rosh HaShanah. So in a sense, when we pick up the shofar and we blow into it our breath of life, in a sense, we are recapitulating what HaKadosh Baruch Hu did, obviously homiletically, okay, when he blew into us this breath of life, and our own voice, okay, began to sound. A voice of justice, a voice of wisdom, a voice of intelligence. And what's amazing is that the sages said that this shofar that we blow on Rosh HaShanah, that is to remind us of the creation of Adam, we are not to alter it. Could it be that that's because the concept of Rosh Hashanah is returning to what we were originally supposed to be at creation? That original highest potential that Hashem knew that we had all along and hoped that we would aspire to and achieve from the very beginning. Say Hazal, take that symbol of Adam and don't alter it, because the whole concept is returning to that highest you, that cleanest, purest you, that what was originally meant to be. This spiral shape, by the way, which is something that we find throughout creation, right? We see it, it's well described in the Fibonacci sequence of numbers, which we see throughout creation, whether it be in the sunflower, whether it be in other natural spirals, whether it be in proportions of the human body, whether it be even in the spiral arms of spiral galaxies. It's really, some people see it as as like a fingerprint of a Kadosh Baruch Hu on his creation, right? So we take that natural shape, okay, that is sort of meant to be the purest us, okay, and we hold that up and blow into it our breath of life. And it reminds us also of the way that our prophets used to pray. Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan, Zichrono Livracha, taught us that our ancient sages would pray just as Honi HaMe'agel, with their head between their knees. Honi HaMe'agel, the sages teach us, he would bring up his knees and put his head between his knees and pray. Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan explains this was actually the ancient ways of the prophets. And notice that the spine achieves that Fibonacci sequence spiral when that happens, right? It's the fetal position. It's like reminding of HaKadosh Baruch Hu of how we were when we came into this world, right? It's a very fascinating point, is that if you go to Goshen, okay, the archaeology of that bastion of the Israelites during our sojourn in ancient Egypt, that is, by the way, modern-day Fakus in northern Egypt of today. Fakus came originally from the ancient Egyptian Pakes, probably originally Pagosem, Goshen in ancient Hebrew, right? So there's a strata that actually takes us to the level of the ancient Israelites during our bitter sojourn in Egypt. And you can tell the difference between a Hebrew skeleton and an Egyptian one by the way that it lies. The Egyptians would bury their dead with their backs to the earth, facing upwards. The Semites, the Hebrews, we would bury our dead in semi-fetal position, lying on the side, as if to remind us of that aspiration that we should leave this world, hopefully, just as we came into it, clean of sin and clean of heart. And that is what Rosh HaShanah is all about. It's all about coming back to that innocence, that clean place that we began in creation when we were free of sin and aspiring to achieve it once again. And that idea of returning to innocence, returning to perfection, to returning to what we were originally intended to be, is something that we can actually garner from the rabbinical order of the blasts. Okay? For example, whether it's the Tashrath sequence, Teki'ah, Shevarim, Teruah, and Teki'ah, or Tashat, Teki'ah, Shevarim, Teki'ah, or Tarat, Teki'ah, Teruah, Teki'ah, we're always coming back to that single unbroken blast. Here's a Tashrath. Here is a Tarat sequence. And here is a Tashat sequence. Each sequence, okay, begins with a single unbroken blast and returns to that single unbroken blast. And I've heard other Talmidei Chachamim, rabbis being doresh, learning out from this, something beautiful. Life has a way of breaking us down. In youth, we're inspired, our vision is so clear, but as we grow older, sometimes our faith gets shaken, it gets broken. We lose our faith in those that we've come to respect. Our faith in Hashem is shaken, sometimes even our faith in ourselves. And what we aspire to on a Rosh HaShanah is to restore that faith, to come back to where we started. That through Torah, through Teshuvah, through Ma'asim Tovim, through deeds of loving kindness, and through Torah, and through wisdom, coming to that place, back to that place of innocence and purity. Shana Tova, may you have a blessed new year. And just one last point. Something very, very beautiful. In Hebrew, the words for conduit, vessel, and will, Hashem's will, are the same letters. Tzinor, Sadi, Nun, Waw, Resh, is a conduit, a vessel, a tube. Ratzon is the word we use for Hashem's will. Resh, Tzad, Waw, Nun, same letters. And this, of course, reminds us that our greatest aspiration is to live our lives as a tzinor, a conduit, a vessel of Hashem's will. That is what Rosh HaShanah is about, and there could be no higher blessing that I could bless you with. May you be zochei, may you merit that you should be a conduit of Hashem's will. And then our traditional blessing that we bless one another in the Yemenite community, Tikatevu v'tehatemu b'sefer hayim v'sefer hazikoron. May you be inscribed and sealed in the book of life, in the book of remembrance for health, for blessing and success. Shana Tova.